paid sick time for all workers was something that Biden ran on in 2020. That's a generally like liberal worldview and plank of liberal platforms. But when it comes time to actually pass it or push for it in Congress or through executive authority, suddenly it's just not essential. And I want to point out, paid sick time for rail workers is something that Biden could do through an executive order. There's nothing stopping him. If he really cared about this, he could do it right now, but he's not. So you have to think about why they're doing this and why they're not doing it. And that's what the Lever is reporting, which has been fantastic over the past couple months, shows that they're just working on behalf of their corporate donors. And in this case, rail companies and their CEOs and shareholders, because these people know it might cut a little bit into these record profits that rail companies have been seeing over the past couple of years. But on the issue of sick time, which is a modest request for people who work grueling jobs, why, if they are so essential to our economy, why is that not something that's already baked into their contract? And it speaks to people's general disregard for workers at large. They're cogs in this capitalist machine. They are useless, they are disposable, they are replaceable. And over the past couple months, in defense of these record profits, CEOs of these rail companies have explicitly said that these profits there are no contributions from labor, from the people who are making these trains run, loading them and unloading them, making all of this happen as part of our critical supply chain, that there are no contributions from labor that speak to these record profits, which, as you know, as the viewers know, as everyone with a brain knows, that is not true, because that's where value and wealth is accumulated and amassed. It's through people's work. And the capitalist class likes to take surplus value from our labor for themselves. So it's really ridiculous that we're in this moment where even, which was on the table, as Matthew Cunningham Cook, who wrote some of these pieces for The Lever, has pointed out, 4 sick days was on the table. 7 is good. It should be much more than that for how essential these jobs are. But 4 sick days was on the table, and instead they got nothing. And again, I can't stress enough, Biden could do this right now with the stroke of a pen. He's just not doing it.
And Jordan, I mean, really, just a total disregard. They're not even trying to hide it. This is total disregard for the bodies and the minds and the spirits of these rail workers who bring it every single day. We know that rail workers have died on the job. They're exhausted. We've seen and heard stories about folks not seeing their families, but yet they were not worthy. They were not worthy of even 7 lousy sick days, even though the union was asking for much more. And every single worker in this country deserves to know that they will have sick time if they themselves are sick, or if a family member gets sick, God forbid, but they don't have it. This president failed these workers, and trust me, it's happening to these workers, but it has a tremendous ripple effect on all workers. Let's put up this tweet from Jordan Charlton. Biden's blocking of railroad workers' strike shows Dems' sick neoliberal view of the economy, protecting consumerism, corporations, and capitalism while disregarding the labor that produces all of it, the workers. And Jordan, that was exactly what you were just saying, Jordan, about why this is happening. So do not be confused. Now, you can be in love with some of these politicians. You can like some of these politicians. Hell, I like some of them myself, but not so much so that you don't point out when these people are wrong. And they are wrong 365 days of the year on this particular issue, to throw the rail workers under the train, because that's exactly what they did. Let's look at what Ben had to say here on Twitter. For the record, Joe Biden has known for months that rail workers may not like the deal he championed. And why? should rail workers accept a single paid sick day when rail executives are raking in millions of dollars? Why, oh why, oh why? That is a legitimate question. It is called disregard and disdain for the very people that help them make these record profits. It is called they do not give a damn. There is no gray here. This is very clear what happened to these rail workers. And the workers are upset, and rightfully so. They should be upset. Let's put up another tweet by Jordan. Railroad Workers United press release slams at Joe Biden. The quote, most labor-friendly president has opted sides with big business and called for a thwarting of rail workers' right to strike. That is exactly what the president called for. And Congress went along with him in this effort. Don't forget, Congress is a co-equal branch of government. They did not have to go along with the president, but like sheep's led to the slaughter, that is exactly what they did. And Kim Kelly really goes to the heart of the whole matter. Look at her tweet, pro-labor until workers actually tried to take action against the oligarchs who have bled them dry for decades. Instead of calling on greedy railroad bosses to accept the workers' modest demands, the administration has sold rail workers out at every turn. Cowardly and shameful. Jordan.
Yeah, there's no excuse that again, modest demand for a few days or a week of paid sick time was denied. This is something that most, cushy office jobs have. It's a pretty standard thing around the developed world. And for jobs that are so essential to our economy, to our supply chain, to our national infrastructure, that they don't have those same benefits is ludicrous. And it's just to help these companies' bottom line. There's no justification for why they shouldn't have paid sick time for these essential jobs. It's only so these companies can make more money. That's it. This is purely a greed move. So the fact that, again, the pro-labor Biden presidency and the like progressives in Congress who went along with this plan, it really makes you wonder who they're ultimately working for. And there's a lot of people who like to slap CPC, Congressional Progressive Caucus, that label onto them when they take office or when they're in office. But there's few of them who actually vote their principles. And I'm thankful for people like Sanders who obviously did not support this because he saw right through it. He saw what was happening here. So I appreciate people like Sanders in these moments.
No, he absolutely did. And my stunt double had something to say about this, as she always does on Twitter, because all of this could have been avoided. The proper way to avoid a rail strike would be to call out these greedy rail barons for not meeting the demands of these workers. 1 day of sick leave per year is shameful, inhumane, and shows no dignity to workers. It's not something to celebrate. So it's really simple. This is not complicated. And the fact that you have a president and a Congress that wants to make this more complicated than what it really is, it is simple. Let me explain it to you like you're a 5-year-old. Give the workers what they want. Let me explain it to you like you're a 3-year-old. Give the workers what they want, because what they are asking for is reasonable. It is more than reasonable. And as Jordan laid out earlier, they were even willing to negotiate down, even though the 14 or 15 days they were asking for was perfectly fine. Human beings need time off. They are not machines. They are not cogs in a wheel. They are very much essential, and they should be treated that way, but they were slapped in the face. They were absolutely betrayed.